For a lot of people, there is a misconception about what fitness really is. A common myth that we see at school all the time is when young men sort of go, that guy's fit, he can run for ages. Where in reality, fitness is much more than just being able to run for long distances. What we call this is cardiovascular endurance, and it is just one component of fitness. This video is going to look at the different components of fitness, but it's going to concentrate on identifying the relevant components of fitness that are especially applicable for the activity or activities you are doing, and then how we target and develop those components of fitness to ensure we meet our goals. Scientists have identified 9 components that comprise the definition of fitness. Let's briefly go through each of these. Agility. Agility is the ability to perform a series of explosive power movements in rapid succession in opposing directions, for example, zigzag running or cutting movements. Balance. Balance is the ability to control the body's position, either stationary, for example in a handstand, or while moving. Body composition. Your body is made up of fat mass and fat-free mass. Fat-free mass includes lean muscle, bones, organs, tissue and water. When people refer to body composition, they are generally talking about body fat percent, or the percentage of your body mass that is fat. Flexibility. Flexibility is the ability to achieve an extended range of motion without being impeded by excess tissue, for example fat or muscle. Power. The ability to exert maximum muscular contraction instantly in an explosive burst of movements. The 2 components of power are strength and speed. Examples are jumping or a sprint start. Muscular endurance. Muscular endurance refers to a single muscle's ability to perform sustained work, or a group of muscles that contribute to a movement together and their combined ability to perform sustained work for long periods of time. Speed. Speed is the ability to move quickly across the ground or move limbs rapidly to grab or throw. Strength. The extent to which muscles can exert force by contracting against a resistance. Cardiovascular endurance. This is the heart's ability to deliver blood to working muscles and their ability to use it. We commonly refer to VO2 max when we're referencing cardiovascular endurance. Different sports have different requirements and therefore require you to train differently to achieve the best outcome. Looking at these athletes here, they require completely different types of training. Their training will be specifically designed to improve the relevant components of fitness that are important for their sports. For us, in preparing for the W2K trail run, we need to look and identify which components of fitness are particularly relevant to ensure the best outcome for that event. For a 16-kilometer trail run, obviously, muscular endurance and cardiovascular endurance will be particularly important for us to target. We'll break those down in this video. The objective of endurance training is to develop the energy production systems to meet the demands of the event. Adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, is a chemical compound that supplies energy for muscular contraction. Actively contracting muscles obtain ATP from glucose stored in the blood and in the breakdown of glycogen stored in the muscles. The key is being more efficient with this fuel. Working aerobically allows us to do this. Now, if any of us tried to run with these marathon runners, we would tire very quickly due to a lower cardiovascular endurance. Incredibly, these marathon runners can run 42 kilometers in just over 2 hours. For the average runner, a marathon would be completed around 3.5 to 4 hours. So they are incredibly fast while still working within their aerobic threshold. Cardiovascular endurance is developed using a combination of continuous, fartlek and interval training while applying principles of training. This will improve maximum oxygen uptake, or VO2 max, meaning you'll be able to exercise for longer and faster due to a greater efficiency metabolizing oxygen. This happens due to the adaptations or changes that occur in your body as a result of this training. For example, increased mitochondrial content, increased capillarization, increased cardiac output, increased stroke volume, and so on. Muscular endurance is the ability to perform many repetitions against a given resistance for a prolonged period of time. When talking about increasing muscular endurance, what we really want is to make longer duration activities feel easier. To use running as an example, if it is easier to run longer, then you'll run much farther. It is a crucial element of fitness for athletes such as distance runners, swimmers, cyclists, and rowers. It is also important for success in many team sports like soccer, hockey, and rugby. This gentleman here is displaying an incredible amount of muscular endurance built up over time as a result of training. Any form of training must mirror the specific demands of the sport. In resistance training, this means that the load used should match the resistance that must be overcome while competing. The number of repetitions or the duration of exercise bouts in a session should approach that during the event. Here Ray Allen is developing his sport-specific muscular endurance so that his technique will not be compromised as the game wears on. For an event like the W2K trail run, that is a continuous steady-state event, it is important to develop muscular endurance so that running can be sustained for a prolonged period of time. In your training, this means that for any interval or resistance training used, the rest periods are kept to a minimum and the repetitions are high. Earlier, I loosely referenced principles of training. It is really important when we're developing muscular endurance and cardiovascular endurance that we apply the principle of progressive overload. This means systematically increasing your workload, whether it is volume, resistance, length, or distance. This is a very important concept, as doing the same thing over and over for extended periods of time will eventually yield no additional benefit. Without progressive overload, you'll be spinning your wheels and moving nowhere fast. The goal here is progress, not perfection. So take your time and slowly move up to continuously make improvements in your endurance. You will need to slowly build up your pace and distance before the W2K trail run. Okay, thanks for watching. Make sure you bring all your questions to class tomorrow so we can unpack these concepts further.